They call it the place where jazz lives. We'll visit the American Jazz Museum.
Also, Steve Rawling looks back on almost a decade at the helm of the Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City.
And the best barista in the world, he's right here in town and pouring us up a macchiato. It's all coming up next on The Local Show.
Principal funding for The Local Show provided by Francis Family Foundation, Frederick and Louise Hartwig Family Fund, Kaufman Foundation, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, Johnson County Community College, John and Effie Spees Memorial Trust, Bank of America trustee, Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, and KCPT members. Thank you.
And I'm Randy Mason. Welcome once again to The Local Show. For nearly 2 years now, our Perform Arts series, in conjunction with KC Studio Magazine, has taken us all over town to share stories about some of the Metro's best music, theater, dance, even puppeteers.
Well, this time we're headed to 18th and Vine and the American Jazz Museum, but wait a minute, you might say, that's not a performing arts venue, is it?
Well, not exactly, but while there is obviously a whole lot about the music's past you can discover at the museum, it's also a place that puts a lot of energy into celebrating its present. It's all about this.
The mission here at the American Jazz Museum is to celebrate and exhibit jazz through 4 pillars, through performance, through exhibitions, through education and research at America's Jazz Crossroads, 18th and Vine. It's a really great place that sort of wraps under its umbrella 4 really important areas.
Greg Carroll, professional musician, and Greg Carroll, arts administrator, both keep the tools of their trade close at hand at the Jazz Museum's upstairs offices. The patience and persistence it takes to master the vibraphone has a lot in common, he says, with the skills required to keep an operation like this relevant and engaging.
We've had a great time in trying to determine, okay, how do we use this space? You know, what do we want people to see? We want people to know about the Kansas City narrative. We think that's important. We want people to know about the greater jazz narrative. We want people to see the visual art pieces in multi-dimensions, you know, sculptures. We want people to see abstract so they can get inside the music from an abstract perspective. We want them to see moving things.
Movement has come to the museum recently in a very big way, thanks to a jazz fan from Ohio named John Baker. He collected over 1 million feet of, you guessed it,
jazz film.
So far, only the tip of the iceberg has been restored and displayed, but the impact of these iconic images is hard to deny.
You know, a lot of times you read about jazz or you may hear the music, but until you see it, you're not really positioned in that time. And so when you can see films as early as 1929, for example, Bessie Smith singing St. Louis Blues, you're in that space, you're in that time, so you can connect with what's happening socially at the time, what's happening musically, and how people are interfacing. And you can see how the music evolves as time goes by, where then you begin to see integration. You see musicians of color playing with white musicians. You see women playing instruments that are not the typical stereotype, where they're not just in vocal roles. You see instrumentalists. So you see how the history of the music is sort of evolving in front of the lens.
I gave you the story, you gave me the game.
You know, we have an opportunity in this space to inspire people to want to listen to the music. You might have someone that comes through this space, they may be a baseball fan, and their own destination might be to go to Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, which is another great asset. And they may see these photos and be inspired to say, I want to learn a little bit about this music. Let me go to the Blue Room tonight. And then that sparks this inspiration that, you know, maybe encourages them to go onto Amazon, download some CDs of jazz artists, and then eventually start buying tickets to concerts.
The Blue Room, the living lab within the museum complex, where live jazz and more pours from the stage over 200 nights a year.
And you know, the museum is committed not only to the music, but to the purveyors of the music. We employ over 1,200 jazz musicians every year. We spend upwards of $150,000 a year in supporting artist fees just through the Blue Room alone. Not counting the work in the festival or the performing arts series, the Jammin' at the Gym series, that's another $100-some thousand. So the museum is committed to showcasing the music, and we have to be, because the artists, the musicians, are our living exhibitions. They allow us to bring to life what you see visually in this space. And so we have to provide that commitment. I think we have to provide the commitment because that's the way that you sustain the music into perpetuity.
I wonder what 10-story tone arched Bill Kennedy's body like a warrior's bow on his toes in the throes of battle.
The spoken word has found a happy home here, too. The Blue Room's Tuesday night poetry jams bring a lively mix of old and young, all ready to take their verbal turn at the mic.
I, too, think Dapper does capture such glamour that goes with Gordon. Jazz coursing through...
It's important as we develop education programs that we're not just myopic. We can't just develop music programs for music-minded kids. So the spoken word piece allows us to take another path in connecting people who might not be connected to music through it. And spoken word is also a very popular art form here in Kansas City, and so we've built here through the great work of Glenn North, who's our resident poet and manager. We've built, I think, a really strong education program in jazz poetry.
And when we land and catch our breath, we'll picnic by the Nile.
When it comes to building an audience, that old adage, you gotta grab them when they're young, is ever on Greg Carroll's mind. You can see it in action with their jazz storytelling program, filling the atrium with music and movement while teaching a few lessons along the way.
People think museum, meaning everything in it is created by people that are dead. I mean, that's kind of what people boil down to a museum, but really, that's why we say in our byline that American Jazz Museum, where it lives. Jazz just met its 100-year mark. So really, jazz is still in its evolutionary process, although, yeah, to the young folk or to folk who may be outside of the aesthetic, it seems old. But many derivatives of jazz are popular music that we listen to today, like hip-hop, like rock and roll, like gospel. Those are all forms that were born out of the jazz aesthetic. You can buy a jazz recording, but it's not the same as going and seeing and listening to a jazz performance. There's something so special about that that draws you more into the music. And because we're fortunate to have a beautiful space, in fact, it's an award-winning space. It's, you know, Downbeat Magazine has said this is one of the 12 top jazz clubs in the world. That's a huge, huge vote of confidence in the jazz community. They said this is the place to be. I often tell people I wear 3 hearts. You know, the middle heart is the jazz artist, the musician. That middle heart is what drives the other 2, the executive and the educator. I feel fortunate that I'm able to come and oversee an organization like this that has so many moving parts to it, but that also is really just, when you boil it down, it's all about this. It's about the music, right? It's all it's about. And when you really boil it down, it's about how do we keep the legacy of jazz strong in Kansas City through this great incubator we have called the American Jazz Museum. It's a great gig.
A couple quick notes about the museum. The festival, formerly known as Rhythm and Ribs, will be back this year with a new name on Saturday, October 12th, now simply called Kansas City's 18th and Vine Jazz Festival.
The other is a big new exhibit coming from the Smithsonian called American Sabor, Latinos in Popular Music. It opens on August 1st.
The head of one of Kansas City's largest foundations is packing up the boxes and clearing up his office after almost a decade in charge.
Steve Rolling is winding down as CEO of the Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, and an announcement on his successor is imminent. Created in 2002 by the sale of the former Health Midwest hospitals to for-profit medical chain HCA, the foundation has given out more than $160 million in grants throughout the metro.
With assets of more than $400 million, it's the metro's fourth largest foundation. Joining us now is the man who's basically been there since the beginning and is now hanging up his hat, Steve Rolling.
Steve, thank you so much for being with us. You know, when you first of all did announce back in December that you were going to be leaving, there was a quote in the Kansas City Star that said, "It's a great job, it's a fabulous job, it's a wonderful job." So remember for me why it was that you were leaving again?
All those things are true, Nick. All those things are true. I have the most wonderful job in Kansas City. And however, about a year or so ago, I got my Medicare card. You don't understand that, but I got a little Medicare card in the mail. When you turn 65, you get a Medicare card. And that started my wife and I thinking. We both work pretty hard. My wife teaches at UMKC in the nursing school, and the nurse practitioner program, works in a doctor's office. I work quite a few hours, nights and weekends. We both do. We're recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, are now new grandparents. And so we started thinking about, is it time to start slowing down? My wife and I both have, our health is fabulous. We have a lot of energy, a lot of passion. And we've had a lot of friends who didn't retire until one of those things started to wane, particularly their health, and they started to slow down. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to slow down while we still had our health and still had our passion, still had our energy. I hope to do something later in my career. I don't know if it's going to be full-time or part-time. I don't know if it's going to be volunteer or serving on boards. But I still want to be active in the community.
But you've done a whole wide swath of different things. I mean, you were, again, for the last decade, head of the Healthcare Foundation. You were the head of social services in the state of Missouri under Bob Holden. You're the former publisher of the Business Journal. You could be going back to journalism.
I could. But one of the best things about being a publisher is you have editors and salespeople and circulation people that do all the hard work. And your job is to kind of keep it all going and try to help them take it to the next level.
Well, you've been the fourth largest foundation here in Kansas City. It's been amazing to me when you go over to your offices, as we have, because we have been blessed as being one of the groups that has been funded by the Healthcare Foundation over the years, that you are in a very modest building there on the Pioneer College campus of the Metropolitan Community Colleges. Just east of Prospect Avenue on 18th Street there, very, very modest. You live in a very modest office there. That was a deliberate effort from the start, even though your assets were more than $400 million.
Nick, that was chosen by our original board, and I congratulate them for that. The board said if our mission is to help the uninsured and the underserved, and if that's what we're going to do, then we should not be in places other than you know, in a place that we look out the window and we see our target audience. I look out my window and I see a bus stop, and it is full of people. So on a January morning, snow, rain, sleet, there are families there trying to get their kids to and from daycare or school on the bus so they can get to work. I come to work every day, drive down Prospect, drive down Truce, drive some of the streets. That's where we should be. If you're going to be a foundation that cares for the poor and the uninsured, we are in the poorest zip code of Kansas City, and I applaud our board for making the decision to put us there.
When you look back at that last decade, what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment for you?
When I worked for the Kauffman Foundation, I worked there for 11 years, and I was honored to work for them when Mr. Kauffman was still active and alive. And I had the opportunity to work directly with him for a couple of years before he became ill. And Mr. Kauffman said over and over again, money didn't solve problems, people solve problems. And his message to us loud and clear was, money can do so much, and the foundation, that's our role. But the real heroes are the people that you give the money to, because they're the ones who take care of the poor. They're the ones who take care of the elderly. They're the ones who take care of the uninsured. And they are the real heroes. So don't get confused that just because you give them a little money, you're doing anything special. What you're doing is you're enabling other people who are really the heroes of the community to do something hopefully magical to take care of the people in the community. And that's, you know, we feel that we are honored to work with the nonprofits we work with.
When you look back then, you think you've had all this money, so it's been $400 million in assets.
We're almost up to 5 now.
Okay, so you've had that money, and you think, wow, we can make a big difference here in this community, make major change in the area of healthcare. You're right there in the center of the city. Were there disappointments that you said, good Lord, even with all of that money, we still weren't able to make the difference I expected when I took this job?
The year we started out in 2005 was the same year that the Missouri legislature and the governor at that time, Governor Blunt, decided to cut Medicaid benefits from 100% of poverty down to 19% of poverty. So if you're a female or male with 2 or 3 kids, if you make more than $300 a month, you're too rich for Medicaid. And so about the time those cuts happened is when the foundation came into our region. And so while we invest about $20 million a year into the poor and the uninsured, $20 million is a lot of money, but for what the state lost and what the non-for-profits and the poor people lost in those Medicaid cuts, we didn't break even. We've tried to be helpful. We've tried to partner. Mr. K taught us that 2 + 2, if it only equals 4, you're not doing your job in philanthropy. It's got to equal 10 or 12 or 15. So we've tried to partner with others. We've tried to leverage our money with bringing some national funders, bringing in some other local funders. But there are problems, and hopefully you can say that we've made some impact. But you can also say that some of the health outcomes for our community are not better. In fact, there might be worse. Obesity and some of the health outcomes that relate to obesity are frankly worse now than they were.
Well, we in the nonprofit world, and public television is part of that, work quite hand in hand with foundations and get to see your role quite closely. Most people in Kansas City, though, have very little involvement whatsoever with foundations. And I'd see the work of a CEO of a foundation and think, good Lord, that's an easy job. Absolutely.
That's what my dad
He's got all that money. He thinks that, oh, he's got all that money, and all he has to do is give it away. What is the hardest job about being the head of a foundation whose really the only job it is to give money away, Steve?
Well, that's not my only job. But when I took the Kauffman Foundation job, I went to tell my dad, and I said, my dad is now deceased, and I said, Dad, I've got this new job, and working for the Kauffman Foundation, and he knew who Mr. K was, so he thought that was pretty fun to work with Mr. K. And he said, what does the foundation do? And I said, we give away money. And back then, people smoked, and he was smoking. He goes, is that all you're going to do is give away money? My God, what happened? How is that a job? Do they actually pay you to do that? Nick, it's harder than it looks. If you care about outcomes, if you care about results, if you care about the people you serve, we, since the beginning, have probably received $410 to $15, $20 million in requests, probably over 3,000 requests, well over 3,000 requests. We funded about $170 million. We say no, unfortunately, more than we say yes. And so that's hard. Saying no is difficult.
Instead of doing a big event where you have a banquet or something for your retirement is at the Kauffman Stadium at a baseball game. And that sort of sums you up. I mean, you are a low-key kind of a guy. I have to say, as somebody who has gotten to know you over the years, you were a very unegotistical kind of a person, low-key. So it must be, you don't want much attention.
No, I don't. And I tried to talk Karen Cox.
It's killing you even to do this interview.
I tried to talk Karen Cox out of doing anything.
That's She's my chair of your board, yes.
But she insisted. What you don't know about me, Nick, is I grew up kind of a wannabe athlete, and so I thought someday I was going to be playing at Kauffman Stadium or Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I was pretty good baseball player when I was young, and so somehow Karen found that out. She knew that I obviously liked baseball, so the opportunity to have an event at Kauffman Stadium is, it's baseball, but even more important, it's Mr. Kauffman. Mr. Kauffman has had a dramatic impact on my life. I only got to work with him a couple years, but he was a special, special person. And so having an event at his home, away from home, his stadium, is very meaningful to me.
Well, we appreciate you, and we wish you well in your retirement. Steve Rawling, CEO of the Healthcare Foundation, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
on
Nick.
The Local Show.
Thank you.
Well, anyone who knows me at all knows that I am seldom found without a cup of coffee close by.
That is exactly right. So you can imagine Randy's reaction when he saw that a local man had been named the world's best barista.
Especially when I heard that to win the award, you basically have to brew and serve a world-class cup of joe while giving the best speech of your life.
The barista in question is Pete Licata, Quality Assurance Manager for Parisi Brothers Coffee. Randy and producer Justin Bond found him working the counter in Union Station.
You ever watch people make coffee before?
I have.
Yeah?
I find it kind of this crazy tactile thing almost, where you're right in the midst of a lot of stuff going on.
Well, there's a lot of repetitive motion, there's a lot of kind of like muscle memory, things like that going on with it. There you go. Thank you.
What did you just do, mister?
So this is an espresso campana. This is espresso and whipped cream right there. Espresso campana. There you go. Thank you. I won the World Barista Championship in Melbourne, Australia. It's taking top honors of all of the baristas who are competing in this type of competition in the entire world. And so, for me to be able to say that you're the best in the world at something was almost unfathomable. And now is something that I have to think twice about before I say nonchalantly that, like, yeah, I did something that's truly exceptional.
Is this some of the tricks of the trade to take away World Cup kinds of things?
Well, this is as far as latte art goes, this is maybe not the best latte art that's ever existed. I have a 12-ounce decaf caramel latte.
Were you training as an adolescent for this?
No. No, I definitely was not.
They didn't send you to coffee camp?
No, we actually have that now, though. That's actually a thing. We have, a barista camp where people can go and take classes and learn about coffee and how to make it properly.
Not in your day. You had to come at it old school?
Years ago, working a place called PT's Coffee, actually. That company was really, really focused on the quality aspects of coffee and the details and making everything, really, really well. And I got a lot of foundational education and really learned a lot about it and was very passionate about the coffee. At one point I decided I was going to move, and I was looking for options and different things. I just kind of advanced myself in some way. So the opportunity came in Hawaii to go to Honolulu and work for a company out there. I got to work with coffee farms out there, and I got to learn how to roast, and I got to, improve my skills. In 2011, I had gone to the world competition, which was in Bogota. And that was a great opportunity. I got second place in that competition, so I felt like I had peaked in my skills and whatever else. But it was something that I had been shooting for a long time, and so this year was my seventh year competing. It was the first time I felt like I'd made a presentation that really just brought all of these elements. And I introduced the farmer who farmed the coffee. And I talked about him and talked about his methods. And then I was talking about our roaster at Parisi Coffee, because I got to work kind of side by side with him and looking at the roasting profiles that we make and how to bring out the best flavor of the coffee. And then I also introduced my, kind of myself. I called myself the voice of the coffee because I'm the interaction point. I took all of these components, these three elements of coffee production and how it's made, and then I kind of wrapped it back around into a speech that also played into the drink. The different aspects of the drink also kind of represented what each of these people had done with the coffee and what they represent, how they affect it. I don't have to compete again, which is a relief and kind of a conundrum at the same time. Because like, what do you do? But
you are retiring, right? Did I see that?
Yes.
I mean, it's like you're going out the top of your game, as they say?
That is, I think that's a great idea.
Describing yourself as a diplomat, is that a stretch?
I don't think so. You're going and meeting and you're representing a lot of other people, around the world, but also seeking out new relationships and like bringing people together in a lot of ways. And so I think that could be described as a diplomatic type of role.
A mission, yeah. Which probably makes your employers pretty happy. I mean, I assume that they think this is a pretty cool thing.
I think so, yeah. And I'm pretty sure they are. They've been very proud and very supportive. Quality Assurance Manager.
that a regular title in the beverage world?
I think so. And especially in coffee, it's becoming a much more common title, mostly just because the quality aspect of a coffee is a really important part of what a coffee company does. It's important to have a person who's in that position who's double checking, making sure everything is as good as it can be or should be.
How about making me one of those macchiatos?
I think we can do that. It's just an espresso shot, in this case a double, and then just a little bit of milk and foam, just a little bit on top.
Yeah, Randy's first macchiato.
Enjoy.
It's a good moment.
What it's truly about is you elevate yourself on a world stage, and globally people are looking up to you now. But ultimately, it's still largely about serving people great coffee in a cafe. It's just the simple things of giving someone a drink and having them say, like, yeah, this is really nice. It was even unexpected. There you go. Thank you.
Pete has also been developing some other interesting beverages. I got to tell you, his lavender lemonade is a surprisingly tasty summer treat to chase that macchiato.
Well, whatever you're drinking, our time is up for this edition of The Local Show. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching.
Principal funding for The Local Show provided by Francis Family Foundation, Frederick and Louise Hartwig Family Fund, Kaufman Foundation, Healthcare Foundation of Greater Kansas City, Johnson County Community College, John and Effie Spees Memorial Trust, Bank of America trustee, Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts, Commerce Bank trustee, and KCPT members. Thank you.